Right now at 5, a donation will allow the Jasper County Sheriff's Office to take police work to a whole new level.
And we're watching radar this morning as scattered showers and thunderstorms are producing some flash flooding in our area. I'll let you know what the forecast looks like for this weekend.
Plus, Boyd Metals announces an expansion in Joplin with the help of Missouri's governor.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 states, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. The time now is 5 a.m. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
And our meteorologist, Sam Lane. It's getting active in the Weather Center again.
I know. You said that there might be some flash flooding?
Yes, there's some flash flooding warnings going on for eastern Jasper County. So if you're commuting this morning from places like Sarcoxie and over near La Russell, you definitely need to take your time and make sure that the water's not going across the roads. Remember the phrase, turn around, don't drown. We don't need anybody risking their life coming to rescue you because you drove off into high water. So let's take a look at radar right now and show you what's going on. We have scattered showers and storms basically moving to the east. You can see there's a large area of rain and thunderstorms this morning and slowly moving off towards the east. And it's this complex that it's produced tremendous amounts of rain in eastern Jasper County this morning. So flash flood warnings are in effect there. Then we have another round of storms developing back in Oklahoma and southeastern Kansas to our west. That's also moving towards the east. And of course, any additional rainfall on top of what has already fallen will only aggravate the situation as we go through the morning hours. And as we go through the forecast, we're going to see more rounds of rain across our area. Now, we are in a drought situation, so the rain is not a bad thing, but unfortunately, we're concerned about the threat of severe weather tomorrow. And of course, I'll break all that down for you in just a little bit. Caitlin?
Thanks, Sam. A second man has died from injuries suffered in a crash involving a semi-truck and a pickup last Friday. The semi was trying to pass the pickup from behind on Highway 166 west of Baxter Springs when the pickup attempted a left turn. A passenger in the pickup, 58-year-old Jeffrey Sappington of Quapaw, Oklahoma, died at the scene. Now the driver of the pickup has died at the hospital. He's 54-year-old Jeffrey Lansaw of Galena, Kansas. The semi-driver was not hurt. A West Mineral, Kansas man is heading to prison after multiple run-ins with the law. Most recently, 46-year-old Sean Galloway barricaded himself in a camper in Weir, Kansas in July when law officers tried to arrest him for multiple outstanding warrants, including a charge of felony aggravated child endangerment. He surrendered as deputies prepared to deploy a K-9. Now he gets a 14-month prison term for interfering with law enforcement. A donation will allow a Jasper County Sheriff's Office to take police work to a whole new level. Larry and Sharon Duman donated $15,000 that will go toward a cutting-edge Brink drone. The Sheriff's Office says that the drone can be helpful in de-escalating tense situations without the use of force. Among other things, it can break windows and search buildings. Missouri Governor Mike Parson joined Boyd Metals in Joplin yesterday to help announce their upcoming expansion. Since opening in 1991, Boyd Metals' Joplin location has undergone 2 previous expansions. Their third, set to finish construction next summer, will add 50,000 square feet. With this expansion also comes 12 new positions, opening up more jobs to local citizens while promoting the continual growth of businesses native to Southwest Missouri.
With a company like this, they have opportunity to expand in multiple states, but they chose Joplin, Missouri to expand. So one reason why we want to continue to encourage the company, how we can help them be successful here and then continue to grow and stay in Missouri.
Boyd Metals invited government officials and employees to sign a beam used in construction to commemorate the event. Some extra help for area first responders, a peer-to-peer support team, is available to Springfield firefighters who need it. Chris Bryant explains how it works.
The peer support team at the Springfield Fire Department started in 2017 with 30 members. It came full circle when one of those founding members switched roles and reached out for help.
I didn't realize at some point I was going to need the help equally. So I've been very fortunate to get both sides of it.
For retired Captain Uli Goulet, mental health support in the fire department was something he knew was needed. He reached out for help following a deadly house fire in July of 2021.
It was a house fire right near shift change, about 6:30 in the morning, and a mother and 3 children had passed away. And this job puts you seeing a lot of death. And I knew after that, things just weren't the same.
A year later, at another fire,
I had what later was determined to be a panic attack. I thought I was having a heart attack. And it was at that point that I actually reached out and said, I can't do this anymore.
And knowing when to walk away from a career for the betterment of himself, his team, and the community.
I had to have that mind shift of start strong, finish strong, start strong, know when to walk away. Because I can't be endangering my crew, the public, and myself if I'm not 100% into this game.
At its core, the peer support team is there for anyone, no matter what need and no matter who you are.
It never surprises me anymore. We all need help. You cannot physically see and do the things that we do on a regular basis and not need to vent about it. It's too heavy to carry.
And having the support from the city and headquarters shows dedication to the program.
They've always been 100% on board. They've helped facilitate everything. They're all on board. They completely recognize the benefit to this program.
Even the sound of tones can be a trigger.
You know what's going to happen. You don't know if it's for you or for who. You don't know if it's going to be an easy call or a hard call. It just spike, boom.
Having those tough conversations with their peers can help knock down the stigma when it comes to mental health, even in the fire department.
So talking about it in cases like this helps open those doors. Because somebody on our department will probably see this and be like, I can call Uli.
That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News. Two of the top teams in the COC meet for a big matchup. Winner takes over for first place in the conference. We'll have the scores. Plus, it's National Sickle Cell Awareness Month, and we have 5 things you need to know about this condition and why early detection is critical. Plus, severe storms return this week. We'll have what to expect from today with meteorologist Sam Lane in the Skywatch Weather Center. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back.
And welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. The Pitt State Gorillas are coming off of a remarkable 1-point win last Saturday at Central Missouri. This weekend, though, Pittsburgh State returns to their home field for the first time this month.
I think the big thing is trust. You know, I think that we, as a football team, have to trust one another, and guys have to trust that the guy next to you is going to do his job, and the coach's call is going to be a good call, and we just have to trust to go out there and execute that.
Watching back on the film, we were displeased by the way we played on defense. You know, we had a lot of penalties and a lot of missed assignments. So we look forward to correcting those assignments and looking forward to really correcting the mistakes and taking the next step as a defense as a whole.
I just ask that all the tickets that were sold, that they all show up in the seats, you know, and get out of the parking lot and the tailgate and all that and come to the game and be really, really loud and really show the environment that we know we're more than capable of having here at Pitt State.
There's only 4 weeks left of high school volleyball in the state of Missouri. Yesterday, 2 of the top teams in the COC met for a big matchup. Winner takes over for first place in that conference. Carl Junction is back home with a 10-2 record, hosting the 16-2 Nixa Eagles. Starting in the first set, Carissa Chase keeps it within the paint for the kill. CJ is up early in the first set, but Nixa answers quickly with a kill by Taylor Wood. Later in the first set, it's Wood again as she finds the open floor, and Nixa goes on to take the first set. Then in the second set, Kylie Scott, who's one of the top basketball players in the area, but her volleyball game isn't too shabby either. Scott with the kill there. Then CJ goes back to Carissa Chase as she hammers that one for the kill. But Nixa, they're just a little bit too much in this match. Set point now, Abigail Wilson with the nice dig, but Chase puts too much on it as Nixa wins the second set. Carl Junction puts on a good showing, but it's Nixa who comes away victorious 3-0. The Webb City softball team has been on a little bit of a skid as of lately. However, the Cardinals are back on their home field for the first time this week, hosting the COC rival Republic. Webb City versus Republic, pretty even matchup here in the COC. Top of the second inning, no score, but Republic strikes first with an RBI double. Addison Walker scores that one. Tigers lead 1-0. Now in the third inning, Republic is up 3-0, but Lainey Taylor stops the Tigers rally as she gets a big strikeout to end the inning. So here comes the Webb City bats. Kylie Sargent hits it deep and it goes off the wall. Sidney Strickland will score, 3-1 game at this point. Cardinals trail. Few batters later, Carson Cahoon hits this one off the shortstop ankle. Another run scores, and the Cardinals are starting a rally now, but still trail 3-2. Later in that inning, bases are loaded, and Riley Haynes works a walk to tie the game. Webb City goes on to put up a big offensive performance as they then beat Republic 12-3. We go from the Webb City Cardinals to the St. Louis Cardinals. St. Louis is well out of the postseason race, but the Cards could still have an impact in the NL Central race between the Cubs and the Brewers. The Cardinals versus Brewers, third inning, no score. Blake Perkins turns on one, and that ball is going a long way out of here. Solo home run, 1-0 Brew Crew. Top of the sixth, Milwaukee leads 2-0, and Andrew Montanaro hits a single. A run comes in to score, and it's an RBI, 3-0 Brewers. Next batter, Victor Cantarini. He unloads it, and that's trouble. Cantarini earned his cold one tonight. 3-run homer, 6-0 Brewers. On the mound was Wade Miley, who was dealing in this one. Strikeout, Newt Barr. Then Juan Yepes goes down on strikes. All Brewers as they shut out the St. Louis Cardinals 6-0. Week 3 of the NFL kicks off, and that happened last night. It's Thursday Night Football as the New York Giants visit the San Francisco 49ers in Santa Clara, California. The 49ers are looking to stay undefeated, and it's late in the fourth quarter, and as expected, it is all 49ers yesterday as they give their home crowd something to cheer about, and the score ended 30-12. Still to come, unpaid medical bills could soon be wiped out from credit reports. We have what you need to know. Plus, we're going to have a check of the 7-day forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns, so stay with us. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. It's getting active in the Skywatch Weather Center. Right now in Seneca, Missouri, things are calm at Indigo Sky Casino down in Seneca, Missouri. In Joplin, we're looking at a temperature of 66 degrees. Feels like 66. The dew point's up there at 63, so we have 90% on the humidity. Here's a look at the radar. We have one batch of showers moving out towards the east, but another round is developing in northeastern Oklahoma and southeastern Kansas. That will move towards the east and come over us this morning, generating more showers and storms, aggravating the flooding situation in eastern Jasper County. Also some big storms up to the north in north central Kansas this morning. Zoom in on some of the activity you can see in eastern Elk and Chautauqua counties right now. So quite a bit of lightning there, getting ready to move into the Independence and Coffeyville area. Also near Bartlesville and just to the east of Nowata, some more storms now developing just to the north and east of Veneta, moving up towards Miami and Ottawa County. Here's the accumulation of the rainfall amounts. Now this is radar estimated. Up to 7 inches as rain has perhaps fallen in the eastern part of Jasper County. So if you're traveling on Missouri 37, especially in and around the Sarcoxie area up towards Red Oak and to the east of 49, that's where the heaviest rain has fallen this morning. And as a result, a flood warning is in effect until 8:30 this morning. That includes parts of Dade County, as well as Lawrence County, also eastern and northeastern Jasper County, and southern parts of Barton County. And then surrounding that, a flood advisory is in effect as well until 6:15 this morning. Temperatures right now are in the 60s across the area, upper 60s, even some lower 70s down in Nowata. Rain chances are going to be high this morning, but they're going to drop off as we go through the day and then pick up once again as we go into the overnight hours and tomorrow morning, and then really pick up as we go into tomorrow night. So here's a look at the upper level flow. Right now we have the system that's over us this morning. That will move away, but then as we go into Saturday, here comes the cold front, and when it sweeps through, we're expecting severe weather to develop across our region with all modes possible. In fact, here's the Storm Prediction Center forecast. You can see that includes all of our area is under the threat tomorrow. And again, possibility of tornadoes, not expecting big, large maxi tornadoes, but there is a possibility of what we call QLCS type tornadoes. Large hail, high wind, and of course a moderate risk of heavy rainfall, which we need the rain, we just don't need the severe weather, but it looks like we're going to have to deal with that. Rainfall amounts are expected to be very generous, especially in Oklahoma, with some places getting up to 3 inches in some isolated spots. 2 inches, pretty common across the southern tier of our area, and then lighter amounts as you go further to the north, but everyone should get at least some rainfall from this system. So today, partly cloudy with highs in the 70s and 80s with the scattered showers. Then, as we go into the afternoon, those are going to move away, and then tomorrow morning, starting out with isolated sprinkles and showers with lows near 70. And then in the afternoon, watch what happens. As we go into the afternoon, scattered thunderstorms develop. Some of these are likely going to be severe. Again, we're going to have to keep a very close eye on this. The warmer it gets tomorrow, the worse the storms will be, with highs in the low to mid 80s. And then as we go into the evening hours, still scattered strong to severe storms across the area. And by 10 o'clock, we'll still be dealing with the storms. Then by midnight, that should start to move away from us. And by Sunday morning, we'll see lows pretty much in the 60s. Over the next 7 days, here's the forecast. Today, scattered storms, better chance of storms tomorrow, again, likely severe. And then Sunday, it starts to clear out. And then Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday is all dry with temperatures in the 80s. And then another chance of showers on Thursday morning, and then dry as we head towards next weekend. So next weekend actually looks pretty good. Stay with us. We'll have more with Health Watch right after the break.
Topping Health Watch this morning, it's National Sickle Cell Awareness Month, and while the NIH says that more than 100,000 people battle this disease in the U.S., many don't know much about it. Mandy Gaither has 5 things to know about this condition and why early detection is critical.
It's a group of inherited blood disorders that cause a constant shortage of red blood cells. Sickle cell disease can lead to serious complications like infection, anemia, and pain.
The pain may be something they live with daily, or it might be not every day, but these sudden, severe attacks of pain.
Dr. Mary Ann Yee with Children's Healthcare of Atlanta says the first thing to know about sickle cell disease is that people who suffer from it are born with the disorder and will have it throughout their lifetime. Also, it runs in families. Those at highest risk are African Americans and those from Hispanic, Southern European, Middle Eastern, and Asian Indian backgrounds. Third, early detection in newborns is critical to living a healthy life with this disease.
Begin treatments to prevent life-threatening infection. We can teach families warning signs such as fever or other signs that might be a serious event.
4, medications can help make the disease less severe, and regular blood transfusions can also help patients stay healthy.
One of the most important things that we do actually in young children is just starting penicillin as a daily medicine to take to prevent and reduce the risk of serious infection.
Finally, Yee says recent scientific advances are paving the way toward new treatments and maybe even a potential cure.
This is a very exciting time for research in sickle cell because there's a lot of active studies going on to try to help these people with this condition.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Yee says some of the recent research is focusing on how bone marrow transplants or gene therapy may be able to help those suffering from this disease. And obesity is becoming more common across a number of U.S. states. That's according to data from the CDC. Researchers found that in 22 states, at least 35% of adults were considered obese last year. That's up from 19 states in 2021. Louisiana, Oklahoma, and West Virginia had the highest rates of adult obesity at 40%. The research also found notable differences based on race and ethnicity. Black, American Indian, and Hispanic adults had significantly higher rates of obesity than white and Asian adults. Adults are considered to have obesity if their body mass index is at least 30. That's based on self-reported measurements of height and weight. Unpaid medical bills could soon be wiped from your credit reports. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is considering a proposal barring credit companies from including that type of debt on Americans' credit reports. The Americans Director says that medical bills are often mistakes due to issues with insurance and coverage and should not impact credit scores or the ability to receive a loan. The CFPB wants to input from small businesses that might be affected before the rules proposed next year. Last year, the Biden administration laid out a 4-point plan to help consumers deal with the burden of medical debt. And 500,000 children and families have their Medicaid coverage back after many states improperly terminated their enrollment. Late last month, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services told every state and territory to check their systems and make sure that they were evaluating each member of the household individually. At issue is the state's use of existing data to automatically determine the eligibility of certain Medicaid recipients. The move comes as they review all their enrollees' qualifications after a 3-year COVID-19 pandemic pause. Some states were considering entire families as a whole without taking into account that the household income thresholds for children are higher. More than a dozen states and the District of Columbia reported the issue. The agency announced Thursday that the benefits are now reinstated. Exercise and a healthy diet are known to help control or prevent diabetes. As Natalie Brand tells us, when that exercise happens can also be beneficial.
What time you exercise can have an effect on preventing type 2 diabetes. A new study published in Diabetologia finds people who work out in the morning or afternoon can reduce their risk by about 10%. But for people who hit the gym after 6 p.m., there was no significant reduction. Study co-author Dr. Chirag Patel says vigorous exercise can make up the difference.
If you look at sort of hardcore physical activity, things that would make you sweat, those things across the board, no matter what time, had lower risk for diabetes.
Researchers looked at data from more than 90,000 people in the UK who wore a device on their wrist that tracked physical activity. They found having a daily routine isn't important, but getting the exercise is.
We detect activity on your watch, on Monday, for say 2 hours. That's no different than looking at an individual who exercises a total of 2 hours during the week.
The CDC says about 1 in 10 Americans have diabetes. Natalie Brand, CBS News.
Patel says the results were still statistically significant when adjusting for other factors like sleep and diet. And that's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
And we have scattered showers and thunderstorms departing from the east this morning, but we have more storms developing back towards the west. That's only going to aggravate the flooding situation that's ongoing in eastern Jasper County this morning. Also, we have the threat of severe weather as we head towards the weekend, and we'll have more details on that coming up in just a little bit as the KOAM Morning News continues to roll on. Stay with us.
Right now at 5:30, it's not just flu season any longer, as experts warn COVID has joined the ranks of seasonal illnesses.
And we have some storms on radar this morning. Round 1 is moving out, but we have another round coming in from the west, and also severe weather for the weekend. I'll have the details in the forecast.
Plus, Missouri Southern faculty and students took over this month's Third Thursday.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 states, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. The time now is 5:33 a.m. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
And I'm meteorologist Sam Lane, and it's been an active morning so far in the Skywatch Weather Center. We're tracking lots of activity going on, flooding going on in eastern Jasper County, and also we're watching another round of thunderstorms moving in from the west. Let's get right to radar and show you what's going on. You can see the first wave moving towards the east, now starting to move into the Springfield area and away from us. But right behind it, we have another wave of storms developing in southeastern Kansas and northeastern Oklahoma with lots of lightning, heavy rainfall. That is advancing towards the east into the metro area over the next few hours, and that's only going to aggravate the flooding situation that's ongoing in eastern Jasper County this morning. Zooming in on some of the strongest activity stretching from near Oak Valley, there just to the northwest of Independence, right along Highway 160, and then that extends southward to the east of Sedan. And then if we take a look at the activity that's moving out, we're moving out of Lawrence County now from Mount Vernon over towards Springfield, and as a result we're watching the pollen count improving as all the rain is starting to wash a lot of that out. Today 6.7, tomorrow 5.4, of course most of that ragweed, chenopod, and nettle. Your bus stop forecast looks like this. Cloudy skies with scattered showers and storms this morning. Definitely going to need the umbrella, 65 degrees. And then as we head through the afternoon, still isolated storms here or there, but around 80 degrees this afternoon. And taking a look at your forecast around lunchtime, 77 degrees with partly cloudy skies. And then scattered storms as we go into around the 2 o'clock hour with a high of around 83 degrees at 2 o'clock 80 and 77 by 4 p.m. Looking down the lane, we are going to have those scattered thunderstorms this morning. Then we're going to be dealing with severe weather tomorrow evening with heavy rain possible, only aggravating the flooding situation in some isolated spots. But we do have a drier week ahead, and I'll tell you more about that coming up in our forecast in just a little bit. Kaylin?
Thanks, Sam. A new normal now is including COVID with seasonal illnesses. Experts say this uptick is the new normal in a world with COVID as an endemic disease. With the first FDA-approved RSV vaccine now available for anyone 60 years or older, it's perfect timing for RSV peak season, which will take place in November. A local nurse tells us to get vaccinated for the defense as the peak season hits.
You know, circulation of the virus, how many people are vaccinated, to really anticipate that. Right now we're seeing an uptick.
Stokes say that the newest vaccine will most likely be at pharmacies or health departments. And if you love big trucks, Joplin is definitely the place to be this weekend. The Truckers Jamboree rolled into town, and the event features hundreds of show trucks, trucks and tractor pulls, a demolition derby, food trucks, and much more. For one truck presenter, the event marks a celebration of the working man and woman.
They're working men and women throughout the year, and this is just a celebration for them and let them know how much they're appreciated. Without them, we pretty much stop. No groceries, no furniture, no nothing.
The Trucking Jamboree is partnering with another trucking event across the street called Guilty by Association. Missouri Southern faculty and students took over this month's third Thursday. The event offered students the opportunity to experience the Joplin community and engage with those who support them. While community members were able to get a look into what students are involved in and how they stay occupied throughout the year.
I just love how everybody's very open. You can just talk to somebody that you don't even know, and it's just comfortable. And then you get to see a lot of different students as well. I've seen a lot of people from my classes that I definitely have never talked to, but now we're having conversations. So I think it also puts people a little bit out of their comfort zone, which is really good.
The next third Thursday will be held on October 19th. And students from Pineville Elementary School had the chance to dive into a tour of the Turtle Hospital in Florida. Through a video call, they explored the hospital and learned about their permanent residents. Students also got to meet Montel, the turtle they adopted. Earlier in the semester, the students raised $35 to support Montel's rehabilitation and care. The school says the lessons from the fun tour will not only apply to the classroom, but also for the rest of their lives.
7th grade talks about percentages. They talk about ratios. So we will talk about Montel's weight compared to turtles in the wild that are green turtles. We will use our graphing skills to find the longitude and latitude of where he would have went if he wasn't a permanent resident at the hospital.
Use biodegradable straws and stuff, and make sure if I see a piece of trash or something, I throw it away. That way that they don't get into the oceans, because then it can harm the turtles, and we don't want that.
The students will receive monthly updates on Montel's progress. You can also adopt a turtle for just $35 a month or a year. Find out more information on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. And historic downtown Fort Scott brought fall to life this evening. The Area Chamber of Commerce was at the forefront of today's festivities. Community members were invited to come support local businesses, listen to live music, and get into the swing of the fall season. That's a look at our top news stories coming up on this half hour of the KOAM Morning News. We're learning new behind-the-scenes details about the final hours before 5 Americans deemed wrongfully detained in Iran were brought home. Plus, a wandering lion cub is safe and sound after being rescued from a Serbian road. We'll have the latest. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. And we'll be right back, but first, here's a live look from Moore Carl Junction, as this weekend is Bluegrass Festival. Topping World Watch, we're learning new behind-the-scenes details about the final hours before 5 Americans deemed wrongfully detained in Iran were brought home. Their plane touched down at Fort Belvoir in Virginia on Tuesday. In those final hours, Iranian officials threw up roadblocks, attempted to force the U.S. government to make last-minute concessions, and even stalled the process minutes before the detainees were set to board a flight out of Tehran. Senior State Department officials shared the sensitive details on the condition to anonymously. The moves included the Iranians threatening not to include all 5 of the Americans in the release unless the U.S. did more. U.S. officials suggested the negotiators didn't see Iran's moves as a significant threat that could sink the deal, but rather as part of a typical strategy by Tehran. A wandering lion cub is safe and sound after being rescued from a Serbian road. The female cub was reportedly spotted by a local resident on Thursday, wandering on a local road on the outskirts of Subotica near the border with Hungary. Police came to the rescue and brought the cub to a nearby zoo. Russia launching fresh strikes on Ukraine, including on infrastructure, causing damage to power facilities in the west and center of the country. The attacks following Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's stirring speech to the United Nations General Assembly, lambasting Russian aggression and accusing Moscow of genocide. Zelensky is visiting Washington as he continues to campaign for increased support in the war against Russia. But his visit comes amid fraught budget negotiations on Capitol Hill, where a bitterly divided Republican caucus could threaten military aid for Ukraine. Amanda Sansoni is in Washington with the latest.
Ukraine attacked overnight, enduring a barrage of fresh missile strikes launched by Russia, some targeting energy facilities for the first time in months, underscoring the urgency of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's visit to Washington Thursday as he makes his case for more assistance.
Today I'm in Washington to strengthen our coalition to defend Ukrainian children, our families, our homes, freedom and democracy.
President Joe Biden unveiling a new package of military assistance in his meeting with Zelensky.
We supported just and lasting peace, one that respects Ukrainian sovereignty and its territorial integrity.
While the aid has bipartisan support in the Senate,
I'm totally committed to support Ukraine until we win this war.
It's an investment in our own direct interests.
the entreaty for relief comes amid a bitter government funding fight in the House, where Republicans are sharply divided on a number of issues, including Ukraine.
There's no money in the House right now for Ukraine.
House Speaker Kevin McCarthy refusing to pledge more funds as he faces a rebellion from GOP hardliners.
Is Zelensky elected to Congress? Is he our president? I don't think I have to commit anything.
The U.S. federal government is poised to shut down by the end of the month if Congress can't reach a budget deal, which could be detrimental to Ukraine's war efforts, disrupting the flow of financial and weapons assistance, as well as critical training for Ukrainian troops. The message and need, according to Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, is clear.
Mr. Zelensky said, if we don't get the aid, we will lose the war. That's a quote from him.
In Washington, I'm Amanda Sansoni.
That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back.
All right, welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. We have some thunderstorms off in the distance in Seneca, Missouri this morning at Indigo Sky Casino and Resort as the second wave of rain starts to move in from the west. Looking at our tower cam right now, we're looking at 66 degrees and a dew point of 63. The humidity is up there at 90% and the pressure at 30.03. Here's the second wave of storms now moving through northeastern Oklahoma and southeastern Kansas around Independence. Also a big batch of storms up to the north and west of Emporia. Here's the rain that's departing from the first wave that generated all the heavy rain in eastern Jasper County. You can see on the live look we have some lightning strikes there just west of Independence to just west of Coffeyville and Nowata. Also some storms with some thunder showers moving into the Miami and Ottawa County area right now. Here's the amount of rain that fell this morning and overnight. Radar estimates of around 7 inches just to the north of Sarcoxy, especially along Missouri 37 in eastern Jasper County. So if you're commuting from that direction, just be aware, turn around, don't drown, don't drive off into high water, as there was quite a bit of rainfall in that area. And as a result, flood warnings are still in effect until 8:30 this morning. That does include eastern Jasper County, southern Barton County, also sections of Dade and Lawrence County, and that will continue for another couple of hours. Temperatures right now are generally in the upper 60s and lower 70s. Check out Nowata. They're already 74 degrees. So the warm, humid air is definitely making its way to the north. And we're going to see the rain chances decrease as we go through the day, but but then uptick against as we go into the overnight hours, but really get going as we go into Saturday evening. Taking a look at the map, you can see this big powerful storm system that's going to be pulling out into the plains, dragging with it a cold front / dry line, and that's where we're expecting severe weather to develop, is right along and ahead of that boundary. Then on Sunday, that starts to move towards the east, taking with it the precipitation, and as we go into Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, high pressure builds in and nicer weather returns. But first we have to get through the severe weather, and that's going to encompass all of our area tomorrow with all the threats possible, including QLCS type tornadoes, large hail, high winds, and especially heavy rain is going to be the moderate threat, and that could aggravate the flash flooding situation. Of course, we're in a drought, so we need all the rain that we can get. We just don't need it all at once. And right now, looking at the rainfall forecast, we're looking at around a 1 3/4 to maybe 3 inches in some isolated spots, lesser amounts the further north you go. And taking a look at the forecast today, scattered showers and storms around with highs in the upper 70s and lower 80s. And then as we go into tonight, a little bit of a downtick in the rain with temperatures around 70, then scattered to isolated showers tomorrow morning. And then tomorrow afternoon, that's when the action really gets going with the threat of severe weather as storms develop along that cold front with highs in the upper 70s, lower 80s. And the warmer it gets tomorrow, the more severe the storms are going to be. And then those storms will be with us tomorrow night. And then by Sunday morning, it will start to finally push out of here with temperatures dropping down into the 60s with south winds. And over the next 7 days, we're going to be looking at drier weather taking back over on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and then some showers possible on Thursday morning. And next weekend looks pretty good. We'll be right back, but first, here's a live look from Carl Junction as this weekend kicks off the Great Bluegrass Festival. We'll be back.
As cities grow and wild spaces are turned into neighborhoods and parks, animals that typically spread things are disappearing. An industrial design student in London has created sneakers to help rewild nature while on a run, walk, or hike. Ian Lee reports.
A walk in the woods may be all it takes to start restoring nature. Kiki Grammatopoulos designed some fancy footwear to get on the right path.
The underneath is kind of a representation of a bison hoof.
Kiki drew inspiration from classic American animals like bison and wolves, known to spread a seed or two, and says her shoe mimics their movements.
One of my first prototypes was just covering my trainers in Velcro and seeing what was picked up.
After months of testing, putting different designs through their paces, she rested on one influenced by the catchy cocklebur.
It works really well in actually attaching things. I think at the moment it's maybe attaching too much when you walk around. It might get a bit heavy.
The process is called rewilding, helping nature take care of itself, especially as animals disappear.
Yeah, we can't bring bison in to London.
So Kiki imagines herds of humans spreading her idea.
It looks very futuristic. It's kind of cool.
Josie Klafkowska says if the spiky sneakers ever come to market, she'd wear them.
I mean, I can see there are a few bits caught on here already.
Kiki hopes her shoes catch on too.
If it means it's going to help the environment, then hopefully I get more people running.
Encouraging them to go the extra mile, not for themselves, but for Mother Nature. Ian Lee, CBS News, London.
Kiki says her Rewild the Run sneakers are intended to spark debate about biodiversity lost cities, and there are no plans to produce them commercially yet. We'll be right back with more news after this. If you're a Lord of the Rings fan, Friday is your day to celebrate because it's World Hobbit Day. It is observed every year on September 22nd. It's the day to celebrate hairy feet, 7 meals a day, and everything else related to the Shire-dwelling creations of author J.R.R. Tolkien. The two most famous hobbits, Bilbo and Frodo Baggins, were the humble stars of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Their roles in those adventures earned them worldwide fame as household names and celebrity status on the silver screen. If you don't want to go all the way to New Zealand to visit the set of the movies, there's a Hobbit house open in Port Orchard, Washington State that you might find more convenient. And here's a good reason to squeeze another sweet treat out of summer. Today is also National Ice Cream Cone Day. According to nationalcalendarday.com, ice cream cones were first mentioned in French cookbooks around 1825. They became popular in the U.S. in the late 1800s and then debuted at the World's Trade Fair in 1904. From there, an inventor patented a machine to make ice cream cones in 1912, and he sold the company to Nabisco in 1928. And they still make ice cream cones today.
And we're looking at radars. We have one round of rain moving away from us, but we have another round getting ready to move in from the west this morning. You see some storms in and around the Independence area, down towards Coffeyville into Nowata County. Also some storms now moving into Ottawa County, around Miami, down into Grove and Delaware County. All of that is moving towards the east, only going to aggravate the flooding situation that we have in eastern Jasper County, where radar was estimating around 7 inches of rain has fallen just to the north of Sarcoxie. So if you're traveling this morning on Interstate 44 and especially east of Interstate 49 in eastern Jasper County, watch out for the possibility of flooding covering over the roads. Remember the phrase, turn around, don't drown. There's generally more than one direction to get somewhere, and so we don't want any problems with that. All right, we're going to have more details in the forecast, including a look at severe weather possibilities when we come back right after this.
Right now at 6, a donation will allow the Jasper County Sheriff's Office to take police work to a whole new level.
And we're watching a level round of thunderstorms moving in from the west once again as we start to see storms developing across our area. And what does it mean for the weekend? I'll have the forecast.
Plus, Boyd Metals announces an expansion in Joplin with the help of Missouri's governor.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 states, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. The time now is 6 a.m. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
And I'm meteorologist Sam Lane, and we've been busy tracking storms in the Storm Watch Center this morning.
A lot of action happening out there.
A lot of action developing, especially to our east, where there's been some flash flooding with some heavy rainfall, but we have more storms moving in from the west. Let's take a look at radar right now and show you what's going on with that. You can see the first round starting to move away from us towards Springfield, but here comes the second wave developing out towards the west in northeastern Oklahoma and southeastern Kansas. Quite a bit of lightning, heavy rainfall occurring with this. As it advances towards the east, we're going to see that move across the metro area. Zooming in, you can see the strongest storms right now are just to the east of Havana and west of Coffeyville, with quite a bit of lightning there, and also south of Independence. Also a pretty strong storm in the Miami area right now, so if you're traveling in and around that area, just be on the lookout. Taking a look at the flash flood warnings, it's in effect for eastern Jasper County. You can see as this goes into motion over the last 4 hours, quite a bit of heavy rain fell across this region, and as a result we have those flash flood warnings in effect until about 8:30 this morning. One good thing with the rainfall is it's washing a lot of the pollen out of the air. Today 6.7, tomorrow a little bit better at 5.4. So if you're suffering from hay fever, that's good news, as most of it is ragweed, chenopod, and nettle. Your bus stop forecast looks like this. Cloudy skies with scattered showers and storms this morning, temperatures in the mid-60s. And then by the time you head home from school, partly cloudy skies with highs in the lower 80s, around 80 degrees. By the time you head home from school with isolated to scattered thunderstorms here and there. Your forecast for this afternoon around lunchtime, 77 degrees with partly cloudy skies. Isolated thunderstorms this afternoon with highs again in the low to mid 80s. And then as we go down the lane, we're going to be looking at those storms this morning, scattered around, and then better chance of severe storms tomorrow evening into early Sunday morning, with heavy rain possible, especially in some isolated spots. Could get up to 3 inches, aggravating the flooding situation in some areas. But then drier weather as we head towards the early part of next week. And I'll detail all that coming up in forecast in just a little bit. Caitlin?
Thanks, Sam. A second man has died from injuries suffered in a crash involving a semi-truck and a pickup last Friday. The semi was trying to pass the pickup from behind on Highway 166 west of Baxter Springs when the pickup attempted a left turn. A passenger in the pickup, 58-year-old Jeffrey Sappington of Quapaw, Oklahoma, died at the scene. Now the driver of the pickup has died at the hospital. He's 54-year-old Jeffrey Lansaw of Galena, Kansas. The semi-driver was not hurt. A West Mineral, Kansas man is heading to prison after multiple run-ins with the law. Most recently, 46-year-old Sean Galloway barricaded himself in a camper in Weir, Kansas in July when law officers tried to arrest him for multiple outstanding warrants, including a charge of felony aggravated child endangerment. He surrendered as deputies prepared to deploy a K-9. Now he gets a 14-month prison term for interfering with law enforcement. A donation will allow the Jasper County Sheriff's Office to take police work to a whole new level. Larry and Sharon Newman donated $15,000 that will go towards a cutting-edge Brink drone. The sheriff's office says the drone can be helpful to de-escalate tense situations without the use of force. Among other things, it can break windows and search buildings. And to be the first to see breaking news, weather, and sports, download the KOAM News app. It's available free of charge in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Just search for the KOAM News app. Missouri Governor Mike Parson joined Boyd Metals in Joplin yesterday to help announce their upcoming expansion. Since opening in 1991, Boyd Metals' Joplin location has undergone 2 previous expansions. Their third, set to finish construction next summer, will add 50,000 square feet. With the expansion also comes 12 new positions, opening up more jobs to local citizens while promoting the continual growth of businesses native to Southwest Missouri.
With a company like this, they have opportunity to expand in multiple states, but they chose Joplin, Missouri to expand. So one reason why we want to continue to encourage the company, how we can help them be successful here, and then continue to grow and stay in Missouri.
Boyd Metals invited government officials and employees to sign a beam used in construction to commemorate the event. And yesterday marked day 7 of the United Auto Workers strike, and the impacts can be felt across our country. Brian Johnson reports from Kansas City, Kansas, feeling the effects beyond just the local auto plant.
Anna's BDL Bistro is less than a mile and a half from GM Fairfax and UAW Local 31. Her diner isn't involved in the labor dispute, but she's feeling the impacts.
It goes from them and then filters backwards, kind of like, that's kind of how I look at it. Because whatever happens to them, then it affects everybody else.
Workers delivering supplies to the plant often eat at Anna's. This is the 3rd strike she's seen in 12 years.
Just manage, we just roll with it.
The Kansas Department of Labor says unemployment provides between $147 and $589 for up to 16 weeks to workers who qualify. The spokesperson says picketing workers don't qualify, but employees who are furloughed often do.
I think it's time for us to compensate the people who build the cars that you guys are making all the billions off of. So that's simple.
Wednesday, union workers were caught off guard to learn the plant sent them home. The 2,000 union workers are ready to strike, but we're still building cars while asking for higher wages.
It's out of fairness. We've given up a lot in the last contracts and everything, and we haven't got anything back. And nothing's gotten easier in there. Actually, things have gotten harder.
Oh, I want the workers to get what they want.
Howell says she's with the workers. She expects the stoppage to last 2 or 3 weeks, then return to business as usual.
United Auto Workers members rallied against the Detroit 3 automakers in multiple U.S. states this afternoon as Friday's deadline loomed for a threatened expansion of the union strikes. And that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, the House canceled votes and the Senate recessed for the week, with just days left to avert a potential government shutdown. Plus, more legal woes for former Trump lawyer Rudy Giuliani. We'll have the details. Plus, meteorologist Sam Lane returns with another look at your Friday forecast. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back, but first, here's a live look from Carl Junction, as this weekend is Bluegrass Festival. Topping Nation Watch this morning, 2 adults are dead after a bus carrying high school band members crashed in New York. Ali Bauman reports.
Just 40 minutes to their destination in Greeley, Pennsylvania.
Lost rollover and VA with ejection.
This charter bus from Farmingdale High School careened off I-84 near Wawayanda in Orange County Thursday afternoon, toppling its 44 passengers down a 50-foot ravine.
Imagine the fear, the screams, in the aftermath. When these high school students, many of them freshmen, were surrounded by this chaos.
I landed on the side. I had to jump out the window.
15-year-old Anthony Eugenio was on board.
As soon as I picked my head up, the kid next to me was covered in blood. I saw blood everywhere.
First responders rushed to the dangerous scene. Windows had been smashed out and a ladder was raised along the side of the bus.
Preliminary information indicates a failure of a front tire may have been a contributing factor to this accident.
40 high school students were on board, along with 4 adults. 2 of them did not survive. They are 77-year-old Beatrice Ferrari of Farmingdale and 43-year-old Gina Pelletieri, the school's marching band teacher. The bus was one of 6 that left Farmingdale in the morning, carrying about 300 marching band students in all for a long weekend at a camp in Pennsylvania. Several students on this bus were hospitalized, including at least 5 with critical injuries.
The only advice I can give to anybody tonight is hug your children very tight. Life is very precious, and our kids started out today thinking they were going to have a wonderful weekend with their friends.
The striking writers and heads of 4 big Hollywood studios have concluded a marathon session of negotiations which lasted more than 10 hours, but without a deal. That's according to a person familiar with the matter who asked to be anonymous because they were not authorized to publicly discuss it. That source said more progress was made during the negotiations Thursday. It was the second straight day of talks between the 2 sides. The Writers Guild of America went on strike May 2nd, with the work stoppage reaching its 143rd day on Thursday. That puts in within 2 weeks of the longest strike in the union's history. The strike lasted 154 days in 1988. In a message to its members late Thursday night, the WGA said it plans to continue negotiations with the studios on Friday. And more legal woes for former Trump lawyer Rudy Giuliani. He hasn't paid more than $132,000 in sanctions he owes as part of a lawsuit from 2 Georgia election workers. Giuliani failed to respond to subpoenas for records in the case, which led to the sanctioned amount. A court filing on Thursday confirmed the money has not been paid, so it is now accruing interest. The bill was to help pay for the legal fees of the 2 election workers Giuliani defamed after the 2020 election. He could end up owing more than the case, and he will face damages trial in December. The family of a black man who died at a Virginia mental health facility has agreed to settle their wrongful death lawsuit for $8.5 million. The family of 28-year-old Ervo Otieno sued the state of Virginia, Henrico County, and the sheriff. Otieno was placed under an emergency custody order by county police officers after they responded to a possible burglary in March. He was booked at the county jail, and then 3 days later, he died while being admitted to the mental health facility. His family said he was in the middle of a mental health crisis at the time. Otieno was handcuffed and pinned to the floor by multiple security officers for 12 minutes until he went limp. The state's chief medical examiner ruled the death a homicide by asphyxiation. The House canceled votes and the Senate processed for the week, with just days left to avert a potential government shutdown. This all comes as Ukraine's president was in Washington yesterday to press for more aid in its fight against Russia, something Republicans are split over. CBS News correspondent Jared Hill has more from New York.
Sources tell CBS News the Biden administration will begin calling the heads of government agencies today to plan for a potential October 1st shutdown.
The resolution is not adopted.
Yesterday on Capitol Hill, a GOP clash in the House after they failed to bring up a defense funding bill for a 3rd time, perhaps a preview of what's to come with just over a week for Congress to act on government spending legislation.
We need the extreme MAGA Republicans to get their act together.
A shutdown on October 1st could rattle the stock markets and 401ks and create a serious backlog of people who need veterans benefits, visas, and passports, also closing national parks. Some far-right Republicans have come out against passing a short-term continuing resolution to keep the government funded. Instead, they're pushing for individual spending bills.
CRs are like Lay's potato chips. You never seem to be able to stop at just one.
Aid to Ukraine remains a key sticking point for Republicans.
I have red lines, and mine are no funding for the war in Ukraine.
You don't defund the whole DOD for that.
The unrest on the Hill came as Ukraine's president met with lawmakers, military leaders, and President Biden.
We're with you, and we're staying with you.
President Biden has requested an additional $24 billion in humanitarian and military aid for Ukraine. Jared Hill, CBS News.
Some lawmakers on both sides of the aisle have introduced a bill to stop members of Congress from getting paid if there is a shutdown. And that's a look at some of today's top national stories. Now, here's Sam with a look at your forecast.
All right, thank you very much. We've been watching and monitoring the radar this morning, and if we can go to the radar, there we go. You can see that we have some showers developing in southern Montgomery County. This is all moving towards the east with quite a bit of lightning in and around the Coffeyville area, producing quite a bit of rainfall as well. Also a storm near Fredonia. And let's take a look, let's travel down the road a little bit down into Ottawa County, and we can see the storms are developing down in that area as well. Well, can't get the radar to move, but anyway, we're watching storms near Oswego and also down near Chautauqua. This is all advancing towards the east and will be spreading across our area as the morning goes on. Stay with us because we have more news and weather when we come back.
A happy reunion in Florida Thursday. Members of the Coast Guard met up with a young man whose life they saved in early August. You may remember the story of 25-year-old Charles Gregory getting swept out to sea while fishing. He was lost for 30 hours before being rescued by the Coast Guard. And on Thursday, he was able to express his gratitude. Ann Maxwell has their story.
Today, we need to celebrate you guys. Y'all guys rock!
Charles Gregory and his parents, Raymond and Deborah, are grateful.
He's back because of all your hard work.
Grateful for the crews that rescued the 25-year-old after his John boat capsized and was swept out to sea 12 miles from the coast of St. Augustine.
I couldn't slow down fast enough before I was in the swells, and rolls the boat. I lose my life jacket, my flares, my radios.
He said once he lost sight of land, he lost hope.
It's a very odd feeling knowing that you're gonna die before you have any of the symptoms. Like, I'm still fine. I'm not like super dehydrated yet. And I was like, it's just a matter of time.
But crew members were out searching by sea and by air. It was from this aircraft that Chief Petty Officer Evan Ewald spotted something on the radar. Turns out it was Gregory.
I don't know how much longer I'm going to be flying in that seat, but it has been about 17 years. And it will probably be the highlight of my career.
That was one of the craziest moments of my life.
Help was on the way. A Coast Guard crew pulled him on board their boat, throwing him a blanket to shield him from the sun. He was dehydrated, bruised, stung by jellyfish, and sunburnt.
That's the happiest I've ever been to be in a hospital.
But after a few days, he was back on his feet.
Does going through an experience like that change you?
I mean, I'd say I'm more grateful for, every day that you have, obviously. Not that I wasn't before, but as far as mentally, I'm fine. As long as my family's fine, I'm good.
He said he's still enjoying the water, and his family is filled with joy to have him back.
Every day is a blessing.
And thankful for all the people who helped save their son.
We will love them forever and ever.
Plaques were handed out to the agencies involved to say thank you. And now, here's Sam with a quick look at your forecast.
All right, we have a few showers on radar right now. Things are looking pretty calm at Indigo Sky Casino and Resort in Seneca, but notice these thunderstorms near Coffeyville. That's moving towards us, and I'll be back to tell you what that means for our forecast when we come back. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. Things are looking pretty calm right now in Seneca, Missouri, to Indigo Sky Casino and Resort, but storms are on the way. Right now in Joplin, we're sitting at 68 degrees. Dew point is 62, so the humidity is up there at 81%. The pressure is falling right now, but look at the winds. Southeast at 14, gusting at times to 24 miles per hour. Here's a look at the radar over the last 4 hours. You can see one wave moving away from us, but then here comes the second wave of storms advancing in from the west, and then we have yet more storms up to the north and west in north central Kansas. Most of that is going to stay to the north, but we're going to be seeing these scattered showers and storms this morning, especially right now around the Coffeyville area, extending down to Nowata along Highway 169. Also a cell just to the west of Bonita. Also some more cells in western Cherokee County, just west of Columbus, near Oswego, producing quite a bit of lightning in that area. We've been having a lot of rain overnight, and you can see that the radar was estimating around 7 inches of rain has fallen in eastern Jasper County. The creeks, I've just checked them a few moments ago, they are still rising in this area, especially the Spring River. And so if you live in this area, just be aware that you could see some ponding on the roads, and hydroplaning is a threat, as well as if any water is going across the road, just turn around and don't drown, go a different direction, as there's been quite a bit of rain in that area. And as a result, a flash flood warning is in effect still for southeastern Barden County, eastern Jasper County, a large segment of Lawrence County, and southwestern parts of Dade County. That goes until 8:30 this morning. Temperatures right now are generally in the 60s and lower 70s. You can see 70 in Neodesha, also in Parsons, 72 in Independence and 73 over there in Sedan. This is kind of along a pseudo warm front that's advancing up from the south and west. And we're going to see rain chances decreasing as we go through the day, but then uptick just a little bit as we go into the overnight hours once again. Here's the upper level flow. We're watching one system over us now moving away, but the big system is going to be coming out on Saturday with a cold front and dry line. And with all the ingredients there, we're looking at the threat of severe weather. And that means all modes of severe weather, including the possibility of small QLCS type tornadoes. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Then by Sunday, that starts to move away, and then drier and nicer weather starts to move into the early part of next week. Storm Prediction Center has our entire area under a risk of severe weather tomorrow, and that does again include all threats of tornadoes, large hail, high winds, and especially the heavy rainfall is the biggest threat, as we're experiencing or going to be experiencing some places getting close to 3 inches of rain in a short period of time. Especially the southern sections appear to be the highest chance of heavy rain, with lighter amounts up to the north, but still up to the north, almost an inch of rainfall. And we definitely need the rain because of the drought situation, so we just don't need the severe weather. Today we're going to see scattered storms with highs in the upper 70s and lower 80s. And of course, I'll have a look at the 7-day forecast in just a little bit. But let's go over to Caitlin with this morning's Health Watch.
Thanks, Sam. Well, Swiss scientists say they've made a breakthrough in treating spinal cord injuries. Researchers used a new type of gene therapy on paralyzed mice, which repaired spinal cord damage and gave them the ability to walk again. There are still many steps before the treatment can be used on humans, but doctors say the development is encouraging. And new research shows how mothers' immune systems change after giving birth. A study at Cincinnati Children's Hospital found after a healthy pregnancy, mothers keep immune suppressive T cells for years, which can reduce the risk of birth defects in future pregnancies. Doctors say the findings could help create a new treatment for high-risk pregnancies. And a new study finds 2 common type 2 diabetes drugs may not be as effective on Black patients. Research published in the Journal of the Royal Society of Medicine found the drugs called SGLT2Is and GLP-1RAs have beneficial effects for white and Asian populations, but not Black populations. Researchers say more study is needed on the reason for the disparity. And the American Red Cross recently declared a national blood shortage, citing a nearly 25% drop in the blood supply since last month. Blood banks around the country are hoping more people get the message and get out and donate. Sean Sittons introduces us to a California man who keeps coming back to save lives.
On a recent visit to the Vitalant Donation Center, Dennis Walther marked giving blood 300 times.
It saves lives. I mean, people that need blood need it now. So, and it's easy for me to do, so I do it.
He's been giving blood for 30 years. At one point, he was donating every 2 weeks. He can no longer give platelets, but still comes in once a month to give plasma.
Well, I've asked that question several times, and they say as long as I'm healthy, I can keep coming.
He says it's nothing to be afraid of and enjoys the experience, spending an hour catching up on his favorite shows while in this chair.
I know it's helping somebody, and I know that whenever they need it, they can't go out and solicit it. It's got to be there. It's got to be on the shelf.
In fact, Vitalant has a goal of storing up to 4 days of blood on its shelves, but it's already seen that supply go well below that level this summer.
The need is constant. You know, as fast as people are donating, it's going out to hospitals. There's always somebody in need of blood.
So many donations over so many years has truly added up for the blood bank.
I've been very blessed in life, and I need to give back. This is one way to do it.
Dennis has likely helped to save thousands of lives and had an impact on many more family and friends grateful to see their loved ones survive. Sean Chitness, CBS News, Fairfield, California.
According to the Red Cross, someone in the U.S. needs blood every 2 seconds. And that's a look at some of today's top health stories. We'll be right back. Right now at 6:30, it's not just flu season any longer, as experts warn COVID has joined the ranks of seasonal illnesses.
And we're looking at mostly fair skies this morning in Seneca, Missouri, the Indigo Sky Casino and Resort, but we have a look at radar, which has some storms on it. We'll have all that and the forecast.
Plus, Missouri Southern faculty and students took over this month's Third Thursday.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 states, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. The time now is 6:32 a.m. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
And I'm meteorologist Sam Lane, and it's been a busy morning so far in the Skywatch Weather Center. We've been tracking lots of heavy rain, especially in eastern Jasper County, producing some flooding situations there, and we have more rain on the way. Let's take a look right now at Seneca, Missouri at Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. You can see things are mostly fair right now. And in Joplin, we're looking at 68 degrees, southeast wind at 14, and the wind is gusting at 24 miles per hour. Dew point is 62 with 81% on the humidity. Here's a look at the radar over the last 4 hours. The first wave has moved out and is way to the east of us now. Here comes the second wave of storms, now moving in through southeastern Kansas, northeastern Oklahoma, approaching the metro area from the west. So as you drive this morning, we're going to see the rain showers and thunderstorms moving in, and that's only going to aggravate the flooding situation in eastern Jasper County. Also some big storms up in north central Kansas, north and west of Emporia. That's going to move over towards the Kansas City area. Zooming in on our local area, you can see quite a bit of lightning activity in and around Coffeyville right now, extending down towards Nowata. Also some storms near Veneta and also up towards the Miami area and just west of Columbus, extending up towards just to the east of Parsons. Here's the flood warning that's in effect, and here's why. Look at the rainfall amounts that was estimated by radar, over 7 inches in some isolated spots east of Carthage along Missouri 37 there in eastern Jasper County. So if you're driving this morning in this area, just be aware of ponding on the roads as well as the potential of water flowing across the road. Make sure you turn around and don't drown. Generally, there's more than one direction to get somewhere, so just keep in mind if you're traveling in eastern Jasper County this morning, lots of heavy rain has occurred overnight. Of course, we have more rain in the forecast as well as the threat of severe weather, and I'll tell you more about that in Maine weather in just a little bit. Caitlin?
Thanks, Sam. The medical community is dealing with a rise in seasonal illnesses, which now includes COVID. Experts say the uptick in this new normal is a world where COVID is an endemic disease. With the first FDA-approved RSV vaccine now available for anyone 60 years or older, it's perfect timing for RSV peak season that starts in November. But the RSV vaccine isn't the only vaccine updated for the upcoming season.
This year, they're not calling it a booster. They are calling it the updated COVID vaccine. So it is very targeted to the XBB variant family. And that is what is circulating in our community. We see that in the watershed reports that we get for our areas.
Stokes says the new COVID vaccine will most likely be at pharmacies or health departments. If you love big trucks, Joplin is definitely the place to be this weekend. The Truckers Jamboree rolled into town, and the event features hundreds of show trucks, trucks and tractor pulls, a demolition derby, food trucks, and much more. For one truck presenter, the event is a labor of love.
I grew up around it my whole life. I used to customize my Hot Wheels. I used to customize my Tonka truck and everything. I had to be different than anybody else. I'd want straight pipe on my Tonka truck. I'd go get a piece of copper tubing and pop ribbon up the back of my cab and everything to have what I wanted.
The Trucking Jamboree is partnering with another trucking event across the street. It's called Guilty by Association. And Missouri's Southern faculty and students took over this month's Third Thursday. The event offered students the opportunity to experience the Joplin community and engage with those who support them. While community members were able to get a look into what students are involved in and how they stay occupied throughout the year.
I just love how everybody's very open. You can just talk to somebody that you don't even know, and it's just comfortable. And then you get to see a lot of different students as well. I've seen a lot of people from my classes that I definitely have never talked to, but now we're having conversations. So I think it also puts people a little bit out of their comfort zone, which is really good.
The next Third Thursday will be held on October 19th.
Seeing what I can do to help them and seeing what others do to help them, it really showed me that people do have care for turtles and stuff.
It gives them something to connect to. I can stand up there all day and tell them, oh, well, the turtle will travel this far and we need to measure this weight of this turtle, it's not going to really connect with them. But now that they have a turtle that they sponsored and they're responsible for monetarily, I think that it'll bring more of a connection with the kids.
The students will receive monthly updates on Montel the turtle's progress. You can also adopt a turtle for $35 a year. Find out more information on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. And through a video call, they explored the hospital and learned about their permanent residence. Students also got to meet Montel the turtle, and students are on a pumpkin patch ride up here. So the school says the lessons from the fun they'll take with them for life. Now taking it over to historic downtown Fort Scott, which brought fall to life this evening. The Area Chamber of Commerce was at forefront of today's festivities. Community members were invited to come support local businesses, listen to live music, and get into the swing of the fall season. That's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. We have our very own Shannon Becker joining us in studio to talk about the big three stories of the week.
And we're watching storms developing out towards our west. That's headed in our direction along with more heavy rainfall. We're also having a look at the threat of severe weather for the weekend. I'll have the complete forecast when we come back. But first, let's take a look at the live shot from Carl Junction, where this weekend the Bluegrass Festival is ongoing. We'll have that and more when we come back.
Welcome back. We've got Shannon Becker in the studio with his big three news stories of the week. Good morning, Shannon.
Good morning.
All right, let's kick it off.
Okay, number 3 this week. What's live and local and happening where you live? You've been talking about truckers this morning. Well, the Guilty by Association truck show is across from Petro. We'll have the world's largest convoy for Special Olympics tomorrow. This is last night we were there live. The Demolition Derby. And in the Demolition Derby, so they don't tear up the motor and the radiator, they go backwards. So it's pretty incredible. Yeah, you have to check it out. Check out our website.
I've never
Caitlin.
seen such a thing.
Check it out. We're talking about hundreds of trucks. And then check this one out. It was Jones Performance Parts. They brought this truck that shot flames out of the top of the manifold there. And they came in. They talked about some of their different parts and stuff. It was a really cool thing for the crowd. So you can find out the schedule, what's happening. They've got the burnouts that are going on. Tonight's a huge tractor pull. It's the they call it GBATS, Guilty by Association Truck Show from the Chrome Shop Mafia and 4 State Trucks. Chrome Shop Mafia used to be a show on TNN. So this is the guys that used to trick out all the big semis and stuff. If you remember that years ago. Now our number 2 story, KOAM News Now and Joplin News First. This started as a police pursuit. Well, let's go all the way to the beginning. It was called in to Carl Junction Police as a domestic issue. Carl Junction Police arrived and this white vehicle fled the scene. So they pursued it for a short while, but speeds of 100 miles an hour traveling outside of town, they disbanded the pursuit. This car, though, kept going about 100 miles an hour and then missed the turn there. Ooh. Straight into the trees. 75 feet into the woods is where it actually went. Driver wasn't injured. But he is now a felony warrant for his arrest for domestic issue and then also for felony fleeing.
Oof.
That was just not too far from the station here, in fact, where they crashed out. And then our number 1 story, 2 teenagers, one teenager and 1 tween, a 12-year-old and a 14-year-old in a Tahoe and a Tacoma. Were drag racing on Palomino. This is almost an unbelievable story. Drag racing on Palomino Drive the other night. One got squirrely and clipped the other, and then that pickup went off road, hit a tree, and flipped. Amazingly, we're talking about non-life-threatening injuries to 2 14-year-olds. There were quite a few kids that were involved in this. Missouri State Highway Patrol can't reveal all the details, but Schrader's Towing set it up right and towed it off. I'm sure someone's going to be grounded after all of that, right?
Yes,
and then our bonus story of the week. They're still working on the Whataburger.
You're really pushing this Whataburger.
Everybody's asking.
I mean, Whataburger is amazing.
So Joplin Creek runs underneath Range Line. What they had to do, they had to get the foundation of the creek and all the runoff water prepared. So they've been doing that for the past couple of months. They still haven't broke ground yet, but they have signed a contract with a local lumber company that will be providing the supplies to build it. And then, of course, eventually in the next couple of months, local people will be working there, So anyway, it's kind of interesting to see. Also, they tore down a building next to the property just this week. It used to be the Big Nickel, And that piece of land is actually, from what we understand, is going to be a different business that is going to be right there next to Jiffy Lube and behind the Whataburger. That building was built after the tornado. It housed a little magazine thing called the Big Nickel. So that would be a different property and a different business. That's your big three.
All right, Shannon.
I got to tell you so much off camera about demolition derbies.
So much.
You know, why we love the Whataburger, you know, stuff like that.
All of that. I mean, as always, great reporting, Shannon. Thank you so much. Stay tuned. We have more news coming up. All right, it's time for birthdays, and we're going to kick it off with Isaiah Peterman over in Columbus, who today turns 1 year old. How cute is he?
And we have Emmett Hookie in Oswego turning 9 today. Happy birthday from Mom, Dad, and your little brother.
And happy 10th birthday to Cameron Allen over in Joplin. It says here, happy birthday from Grandma and Grandpa.
And we have a new teenager in Oswego this morning with Claire Baker turning 13 years old today.
Ooh, and we have a sweet 16 in Girard. Happy birthday to Shelby Finley.
And she's old enough to vote now. Emma Royer in Oswego turning 18 years old today.
There we go. We have another adult entering the chat. Happy birthday to Chandler Ray over in Webb City.
And Anna Coberly turning 19 in Columbus this morning. Happy birthday to you, Anna.
And happy 21st birthday to Chanel Smith of Weir, Kansas.
In Columbus, Kansas, we have Valerie Richardson having a birthday today. Happy birthday, Valerie.
And happy 63rd birthday to David Chambers over in Mulberry. Says here, happy birthday, Diamond Dave, from your friends and family.
And Barbara O'Neill Welch turning 76 in Joplin. And she's from the CCRHS class of 1965. Happy birthday, Barbara.
Yes. And then, of course, we have over in Columbus, Lloyd Coons. Happy birthday.
As well as Buddy in Columbus. Happy birthday, Buddy.
And over in Galena, Kansas, Christy and Herb Parsons.
All right. And Mike and Sally Blevins are celebrating their 26th anniversary today over in Iola. Happy anniversary to you both.
And wrapping it up with Winnie Pack, happy 89th birthday. I hope you're enjoying yourself in Chanute, Kansas. And if you want to submit your birthdays or anniversaries, please email us at birthdays@koamnewsnow.com. Be sure to include pictures, any messages or details that you want us to shout out for you.
All right, let's take a look at radar right now in motion over the last few hours. You can see quite a bit of showers and thunderstorms this morning, rapidly pulling off towards the east. And that was the wave of storms that produced all the flash flooding in eastern Jasper County. Now we have another wave moving in from the west, and that will be moving across the metro area over the next few hours, and also some big storms up in north central Kansas. Zooming in on the activity in the local area, you can see just south of Oswego quite a bit of lightning with this cell in northern Craig County. That's going to move over towards northern Ottawa and southern Cherokee County over the next hour. And look at the rainfall that fell this morning in eastern Jasper County, around 7 inches according to the radar estimates over there near Red Oak, down towards Sarcoxy, around 6 inches, and 5 inches a little bit further to the south and east. So if you're heading in that area this morning, be advised that there are flood warnings in effect for eastern Jasper, southern Barton, southwestern Dade, and a large chunk of Lawrence County until 8:30 this morning. Temperatures are generally in the 60s and 70s as a pseudo warm front is advancing from the south and west. Behind that front, temperatures in the 70s, and ahead of it in the 60s. We're going to see rain chances pretty high this morning, but then dropping as we go through the day, but then picking up again as we go into the overnight hours, but especially as we go into Saturday. In fact, big storm system pulling out into the plains tomorrow with a cold front, and with all the ingredients necessary for severe weather, we're looking for that possibility. And then by Sunday, that starts to move off towards the east. And then finally, drier and nicer weather moves into the early part of next week. Severe weather threat is across the entire area tomorrow, and all threats are possible, including small tornadoes, large hail, high winds, and especially heavy rainfall, as some areas could see around 3 inches of rain in some isolated spots, especially in the southern sections. Lighter amounts to the north, but still generous amounts of rainfall expected Temperatures today are going to be in the upper 70s and low 80s with scattered storms. And then tonight, mostly fair with lows near 70. And then tomorrow, that's when we're expecting the thunderstorms to really fire up along that cold front. Again, likely severe with highs in the upper 70s and lower 80s. And over the next 7 days, it finally turns nice as we go into Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week with maybe some more showers on Thursday and Friday. Coming up when the KOAM Morning News switches over to Fox 14, when guests at a certain Nashville hotel saw that no one was working there, these guests jumped in to help. We'll have that as well as more weather when we come back.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. A second man has died from injuries suffered in a crash involving a semi-truck and a pickup last Friday. The semi was trying to pass the pickup from behind on Highway 166 west of Baxter Springs when the pickup attempted a left turn and hit the truck. The passenger of the pickup, 58-year-old Jeffrey Sappington of Quapaw, Oklahoma, died at the scene. Now the driver of the pickup has died at the hospital. He was 54-year-old Jeffrey Lansaw of Galena, Kansas. The semi-driver was not hurt. And a West Mineral, Kansas man is heading to prison after multiple run-ins with the law. Most recently, 46-year-old Sean Galloway barricaded himself in a camper in Weir, Kansas in July when law officers tried to arrest him for multiple outstanding warrants, including a charge of felony aggravated child endangerment. He surrendered as deputies prepared to deploy a canine. Now he gets a 14-month prison term for interfering with law enforcement. And students from Pineville Elementary School had the chance to dive into a tour of the Turtle Hospital in Florida. Through a video call, they explored the hospital and learned about their permanent residents. Students also got to meet Montel, the turtle they adopted. Earlier in the semester, the students raised $35 to support Montel's rehabilitation and care. The school says the lessons from the fun tour will not only apply to the classroom, but also for the rest of their lives. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
All right, let's take a look at radar. You can see scattered showers and thunderstorms in southeastern Kansas and northeastern Oklahoma. All of that is moving towards the east. As we go through the morning hours, we're going to see those spread across the metro area. And some of these storms are going to be putting down some heavy rainfall. And we've already had some heavy rainfall in eastern Jasper County this morning, producing some flash flooding. That will be in effect until 8:30. And if we take a look at the next 7 days, we're looking at more scattered showers and storms in our forecast. As we go into tomorrow, we're going to see severe weather possibility with highs in the mid-80s tomorrow and severe weather likely. And then if we take a look at that forecast on Sunday, it starts to move out of here. And then Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week, we're looking at drier conditions with highs in the 80s and then another chance of showers on Thursday morning. And then next weekend, Caitlin, looks pretty good around here with highs in the lower 80s and lows in the 50s.
That all looks pretty good to me, Sam. We'll take it.
All right.
Wonderful. Well, be sure to stay tuned because we have Shannon Becker who will join us back in studio to tell us his big 3 stories of the week.
But that's going to wrap it up for us right now. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. And we'll, of course, see you again at noon as well.
Yes, right? We will.